The war began the way most galactic wars did, with fleets. The Vesh Combine deployed thousands of capital ships. The Wren Collective responded with carrier walls that blocked starlight over contested systems. Minor powers chose sides to avoid being crushed. Worlds burned not because they were valuable, but because they were visible. Each side sought proof of superiority, broadcasting every victory. Casualty reports were framed as necessary sacrifices for future dominance. The galaxy responded with overwhelming force. Armies clashed, and orbital bombardments carved continents into ash. Billions mobilized. Forged. Trade routes were disrupted. Human colonies fortified themselves. But Earth did not join the early offensives. In the Galactic Assembly, representatives demanded clarity. "Your restraint borders on negligence," said Ambassador Trell. Human Ambassador Claire Whitaker stood calmly. "We do not see a path to conclusion." Trell flared in irritation. "The conclusion is dominance." Whitaker shook her head. "That is not an ending. That is a pause. When Earth commits, it will not be to win a battle." "And what then?" Trell asked. "To end the war." Most dismissed it as rhetoric. But on Earth, in a secure facility, General Marcus Cole stood before a small review board. On the table was a single dossier, Sergeant Ryan Hale. No notable family, no political leverage. Chosen not for rank, but for capability. 8 deep insertion operations, said Director Naomi Pierce. 0 mission failures. Psychological profile. Stable, controlled aggression. No ideological rigidity. He follows objectives precisely. Cole looked around the table. "We are not sending him to secure territory. We are sending him to end the war." O's. Sergeant Hale sat alone, studying projections of the Wren and Vesh High Command structures. General Cole summarized the analysis. "Neither side will concede as long as their leadership remains intact. They are locked in escalation." "Objective," Hale said, his voice flat. "Terminate both Central Command authorities simultaneously." He asked only one question. "Extraction." "Uncertain," Cole replied. "Mission is priority." Hale accepted this without reaction. The insertion craft that carried him bore no insignia. He transferred into a stealth pod, carrying standard armor, a rifle, breaching charges, signal disruptors, and a data spike. No heavy ordnance, no orbital support. The galaxy had sent armies. Humanity sent one soldier. Hale approached the Wren High Command Citadel during a diplomatic exchange, slipping through a maintenance aperture, exposed for just 4 seconds. Inside, Wren security protocols activated. Tall, angular beings in bioengineered shells, their networks linked commanders directly to fleets. Hale moved through service corridors, his objective not to fight through battalions, but to reach the Central Council chamber. He engaged only when necessary. 2 shots, move, seal a hatch, disrupt surveillance. Alarms echoed. The High Council initiated lockdown. Hall reached the council chamber as blast doors sealed. He wedged a charge into the gap, detonating it just enough to force entry. The Wren High Council, still connected to holographic battle displays, didn't comprehend the threat. Hale didn't deliver a speech. He deployed signal disruptors, severing their neural links to Fleet Command. For critical seconds, Wren fleets operated without synchronization. Then he activated the data spike, injecting a cascade into the Citadel's command architecture. It triggered emergency isolation across Wren fleet sectors, forcing autonomous command protocols. Hale fired precisely, disabling core control nodes, incapacitating Central Command. He transmitted a coded burst. First node complete. He retraced his path, using the confusion to mask his exit. Hours later, he entered Vesh territory. The Vesh Command Nexus was a distributed network embedded in a massive orbital fortress. Their doctrine emphasized overwhelming retaliation. Hale gestured. Instead of a direct breach, he targeted the power distribution grid, inducing cascading overloads. The fortress went into segmented containment to prevent a meltdown. As sectors sealed, Vesh High Command lost integrated oversight. Hale infiltrated the War Council chamber during the containment sequence. He didn't negotiate. He triggered his final device, a command override module broadcasting an authenticated stand-down signal across both Ren and Vesh fleets. The signal declared mutual leadership incapacitation and imposed a forced operational halt. Across the galaxy, fleets experienced abrupt command silence. Targeting systems disengaged. Orbital bombardments paused. Confusion spread. On worlds that had burned for cycles, an eerie quiet settled. In the Galactic Assembly, ambassadors stared at their tactical feeds in disbelief. They will attempt to reassert control, Trail said. Yes, Whitaker replied. But not together. In the Vesh fortress, Hale secured the chamber and transmitted his final message. Second node complete. Security forces converged. He fought only to clear his extraction path, reaching an outer airlock just as containment fields flickered. For 11 minutes, the galaxy went silent. On both sides, local admirals debated action. Without centralized direction, no one wanted to risk unilateral escalation that could be judged as treason. The halt was paralysis, not a ceasefire. Whitaker spoke in the assembly. The war has been interrupted. Trell stared at her. You surveyed both command heads. She didn't confirm or deny. Local commanders will try to resume, he insisted. They will, she replied. Without synchronized authority, escalation becomes a risk, not a certainty. Hale, his armor scarred, launched himself into the vacuum. A single, cold retrieval craft intercepted him. Inside, he didn't ask if he'd succeeded. He had heard the silence. Earth didn't deploy fleets. It deployed communication, reaching mid-level commanders with a verified truth. Your central war authorities are incapacitated. Enter negotiation under neutral observation. The message didn't threaten. It presented consequence. On both the Ren Citadel and the Vesh Fortress, damage was severe. Full command restoration would take weeks. For the first time, both sides faced uncertainty, not from enemy's strength, but from their own structural fragility. In the assembly, Whitaker addressed them. You have fought for superiority. You now face a different calculation. Continue independently and risk mutual collapse, or negotiate while your fleets remain intact. The Vesh representative accused, You engineered this disruption. Whitaker's expression was unchanged. You engineered this war. Oh. On the retrieval craft, General Cole appeared via secure channel. Status, he said. Mobile, Hale replied. Objective incomplete, Fear. The war ends when they accept it, not when they pause. Cole understood. Then we ensure they accept it. Negotiations intensified. Whitaker proposed enforced decentralization, dismantling centralized war councils in favor of distributed defense oversight. It was not conquest, it was structural restraint. Faced with rebuilding under constant threat, or fragmenting their own territories, both powers agreed to the Accord of Kestrel Prime. The agreement was signed without ceremony. Weeks later, General Cole stood beside Sergeant Hale, overlooking a training ground. The accord holds, Cole said. For now, Hale replied. You understand why you were chosen? Cole said. Hale looked toward the horizon. You needed someone who wouldn't get distracted. By what? Winning. Battles were never the objective. Ending, it was. Across former war zones, reconstruction began. Worlds healed. Fleets were repurposed. The Ren and Vesh restructured their commands under supervision. They had not been conquered. They had been interrupted. The galaxy had sent armies. Humanity sent one soldier, not to prove superiority, but to force a moment where continuation became irrational. And in that moment, when the guns fell silent, not from exhaustion, but from realization, the war truly ended.